Hello, everyone. In this lecture, we're going to lay the foundation for AI. We're going to discuss some of the capabilities and limitations. This lecture is mostly based on the Mollick reading. So if you haven't done those readings, please complete them before you listen to this lecture. So some of the learning objectives for this lecture is to describe generative AI and the basics of LLM training or large language models training. We're going to define AI literacy and explain why it's important. We're going to explain main limitations and key ethical considerations for AI. Then we're going to delve into our readings and parts that I integrated from the reading. So we're going to explain four rules for working with AI as a co-intelligence. And finally, we're going to discuss the importance of subject matter experience in the age of AI. Okay, so let's get started with the basic definition. So we've been talking about AI, but when we talk about AI in this course, we're actually referring to generative AI, which is different from traditional AI systems, right? Traditional AI systems generally use existing data to make some predictions and decisions or conduct optimization for certain processes. But generative AI, as the name suggests, are all artificial intelligence systems that can create new content. And this content can be in the form of text, audio, image, or video outputs based on the patterns and information the systems have learned from the training data. So on this slide, you can probably see some of the generative AI tools that are available for text generation. For example, we have ChatGPT, Cloud, Gemini, or Copilot. I'm sure some of you guys have tried out these different text generation tools. Or for image generation, there are different tools that are available. Midjourney, DALI integrated into ChatGPT. We have audio generation tools such as 11 Labs that can create AI based voices. And finally, video generation. So we have Runway that you can, based on a text prompt, you can create a short video. So all of these tools are referred to as generative AI or Gen AI. But for the sake of brevity, throughout the lecture or throughout the semester, we're going to refer to this as AI. And sometimes we're going to touch upon the uses of traditional AI too. But generally speaking, we'll be focusing on generative AI. So we talked about some main capabilities of AI, but what can we do with AI in the field of communication? So on this slide, you see only a few specific capabilities of AI that you can use in a job related to communication. The most important one is the content generation part. So AI can create or help you create tailored messages, articles, visuals for marketing, journalism, or public relations. So, for example, using AI tools, you can generate customized social media posts for different audiences. It can also assist you in brainstorming and generating innovative solutions in communication strategies. For example, if you're stuck in a PR crisis, AI may be used to generate new approaches to engage an unresponsive audience. A really common use of AI today is interactive chatbots. So, a lot of the companies are using AI driven chatbots to engage their customers in real time conversation. So, they provide customer support, they can answer inquiries or simulate human interactions for training purposes. So, you can think of, for example, AI powered chatbots managing customer service for brands across multiple platforms. This can be also a communication specific use of AI. We also have tools on AI, using AI as companionship and also emotional support. So as AI can simulate human-like conversations and offer companionship, particularly in healthcare and therapy settings, there are some applications that serve this purpose now. It can also provide emotional support and guidance for patients. We have a specific chapter on this topic, and there are definitely a lot of ethical considerations we need to be aware of, but we can definitely list this one of the capabilities of AI. AI also changed, transformed the field of translation, language translation. It bridges language gaps, enabling effective intercultural communication. So, for example, now we can use AI tools for accurate real time translations for global business meetings, or when students get together in an intercultural international platform. And finally, AI provides tools that enable ordinary users to generate images or videos. So using AI tools, you can generate promotional videos or infographics for a brand marketing campaign based on the provided guidelines. So as you can see here, generative AI has so many capabilities that are very applicable in the field of communication. So, before we delve deeper into AI capabilities, AI literacy, we should have a basic understanding of how AI does what it does, right? How does generative AI, particularly large language models such as ChatGPT, Gemini, Cloud, understand and generate human like text, audio, or video? So, we need to know LLM training process a little bit to be able to understand its capabilities, but also to make sense of AI's limitations. So, in the training process of large language models, I'm going to refer to these as LLMs because a lot of the AI tools that we're discussing here are based on large language models. So, in the training process of LLMs, the first step involves gathering billions of words from diverse sources like books, articles, and websites. And then researchers conduct tokenization. So, tokenization is breaking down text into smaller units called tokens. Tokens could be words or parts of words, but these tokens are then converted into numerical representations that the model can process. The model used in training LLMs is called neural network. So, neural networks is a specific type of LLM, and it's a computing system inspired by the human brain. So, you can think of this uh, model consisting of billions of interconnected nodes, similar to our brains, that process information. Okay. So, LLMs specifically use a type of neural network called a transformer. So, the discovery of transformers actually created a huge leap in the field of AI. The transformer architecture allows the model to pay attention to different parts of the text when processing it, so that the model starts to understand the context, and also relationships between words more effectively. So during the training of the model reads through vast amounts of tokenized text data, adjusting its internal connections, or these are also called weights, to better predict the next token in a sequence. So this process is repeated billions of times with different pieces of text, and this repetition allows the model to learn the patterns in language use, understand the context in which certain words are used, and generate coherent text. So, in other words, based on this explanation, you can assume that AI generates a probabilistic output of text based on its training. So, what does this mean? This means that AI is by no means sentient or conscious. It doesn't actually know um, inherently what you're asking, or they don't understand their own behavior or human behavior. They only mimic these language patterns because they learned how to mimic it during their training. So at the end of the day, we can use this analogy for AI. It's sort of a super smart autocomplete machine, right? It's so smart based on their training that they can infer what you're asking because they learn how to recognize the language patterns, and it can also predict the most probabilistic, the plausible and coherent text to produce in response to your prompt. So it's important to know how LLM is trained and how it works so that you can understand why it does what it does, how it does it, and also possible limitations based on or embedded in its training. So far in our lecture, we defined what generative AI is and we talked about the LLM training process. All this information is essential to be able to effectively use, evaluate, and interact with AI systems. So, I would like to introduce this concept called AI literacy. So, it's the understanding and knowledge necessary to effectively use, evaluate, and interact with AI systems. So, what would go under this umbrella term? You can put knowledge about AI capabilities, limitations, and ethical issues here. So, the more you know about these, the more literate you will be about AI, or knowledge on and experience with prompting AI. Throughout the semester, we're going to practice prompting skills too, right? To get AI to do what we want it to do. And finally, critical thinking skills for evaluating AI generated outputs. So we cannot just simply offload all our cognitive tasks on AI because again, AI has serious limitations and there are some ethical issues. We always need to include our own human oversight and critical thinking, our own human experience and expertise while evaluating AI generated outputs. AI literacy is important because it's also a new core job readiness skill. We all know that AI will eliminate some jobs, and it's already eliminated a lot of customer service jobs, right? But we also know that it will fundamentally change all jobs. So the jobs that you will graduate to do will be very different from your peers that graduated a few years ago. And those who can work, think, and collaborate with AI will replace those who cannot. So, to potential employers, when you go to interviews in the future, you will need to articulate how well you can use AI systems, but also what human enhancements you can add to these systems. So everyone can prompt AI to write an essay, right? Everyone can prompt AI to create an image. But how well can you do this? And what else can you add to the AI output? What expertise do you bring? What critical oversight do you bring? So these are going to make a big difference in the future. So on this slide, you see specific AI literacy skills that you should all strive for developing in all your courses throughout your higher education. Um, so what will go under AI literacy skills? The first thing is your ability to use discipline-specific expertise to prompt AI tools. So this means that you still need to push yourself to think through or think about the concepts, theories, research findings that you learn in your specific field of study. So, for example, if you're a communication student, you should still learn communication theories or research in the field of communication to be able to create a public healthcare campaign in collaboration with AI. If you were to simply ask AI to do this, you're not going to get a very good result, and it's possible that there's going to be a lot of there are going to be a lot of inaccuracies in it. But because you don't have the discipline specific expertise, you will not catch those. So the second ability is related to this one ability to critically evaluate and enhance AI generated outputs. So the first time you prompt an AI, the result will always going to be the average, very broad and generalized response. So how do you critically evaluate this? How do you uh, kind of break down the AI output and identify maybe discrepancies in it or biases in it, inaccuracies in it? So here you will use your critical thinking skills, ability to break down complex problems and reframe them, collaborate with AI. Again, AI cannot really break down complex problems or real life problems, because again, it's not real, it doesn't understand the human experience. It's just simply responding to your questions based on the language patterns it learned. So it's your job as the human expert to help AI break down these, you know, different aspects of the problem. Ability to keep up with emerging AI capabilities and learn how to apply them in new contexts. So, you know, AI is rapidly evolving. Every day there are new tools, but I always recommend my students don't try to learn how to use every single tool, but try to develop an AI strategy. Because once you have a strategy, it's kind of like a toolbox for you. You can pick, you know, different parts of that toolbox and apply them in new contexts. So again, this is all related to the first three skills, right? You have to have expertise, you have to bring in critical thinking skills, you have to bring problem solving skills, so that you can transfer those skills to new areas of AI. And finally, ability to understand ethical issues related to AI development and use. I will briefly go over them in the next few slides, but we will dedicate 2 weeks of our semester to talk about ethical considerations related to AI, because there are really serious issues, and part of AI literacy is to be aware of these issues so that you can deal with them. Okay, so on this slide, I will provide a very brief overview of AI limitations and key ethical concerns. We're going to really scratch the surface here, but over the course of the semester, we're going to revisit all these issues, and we're going to dedicate specific class sessions to each of these ethical issues. So let's get started with the first one. The first, under information ecosystem integrity, bias amplification and false information are two sides of the same coin. What does this mean? This means that they both stem from the AI's training data and its inability to truly understand context. So remember, we learned that AI learns from existing human generated data, which already contain societal and cultural biases, as well as inaccurate information. So when generating new content, AI may perpetuate these biases, or it may create entirely fictional information, which is also called hallucinations, or we say AI hallucinates, because again, AI is not designed to identify inaccuracies. It doesn't know how to verify the truthfulness of the information. It's simply predicting the most plausible and relevant text in response to your prompt. So sometimes it may even like combine truthful or accurate information and create something fabricated. Sometimes the output may not be completely inaccurate, but parts of it may be inaccurate. In terms of amplifying bias, there are currently some studies providing evidence for this limitation. For instance, uh, the analysis of 5,000 images from Stable Diffusion, which is an image generation AI system, found that it takes racial and gender disparities to extremes, worse than in real life. We're already working as a society, right, to kind of get rid of these biases and disparities, and imagine living in an information ecosystem where a tool that is widely used is perpetuating these disparities or stereotypes and taking them to actually extremes. One specific evidence for this was when asked to generate images for a judge on the Stable Diffusion, the AI uh, generated images, only 3% of them were women. But in reality, when we look at statistics, 34% of US judges are women. So you see the gender stereotype here, right? So when if we were to ask AI to generate an image or information for us, it may actually uh, generate a biased response that may not reflect the realities of our society. So we need to ask ourselves, like, do we want these biases and hallucinations to shape our information systems? If not, how can we deal with these? So this is the first and very important limitation and key ethical consideration for AI systems. So the second ethical concern is about digital rights and data ownership. So unfortunately, AI companies are not very transparent about how they collect user data, why and how long they store this data, and how they protect this data. So we already know that because the competition is so heated in the field of AI, companies are racing to launch their products without really implementing these cybersecurity guardrails. So there is a lot of concern around how these companies are using the information you enter when you are, for example, prompting AI. If you were to enter some sensitive information, are they really capable of protecting this? So this creates a lot of privacy concerns related to AI development and use. Additionally, there are ongoing legal battles about intellectual property rights, as many AI companies use copyrighted works to train their models without the permission of original creators. This is especially an issue in the field of image generated AI, because AI companies scrape the web. They use images or artworks from original creators, and without compensating them, they're letting their users recreate similar artifacts. So you can see how this creates a very complex and important issue related to copyrights and intellectual property issues. And we need regulatory frameworks to keep AI companies accountable in this sense. And as of now, in the US, there are not many regulatory frameworks, but the very first one is the EU AI Act. It's world's first major initiative to regulate AI, and it's designed to ensure that AI systems in the EU are safe and respect fundamental rights. So again, AI development and use can create serious privacy concerns. There are very complex issues related to copyrights and intellectual property issues, and these are topics we should constantly talk about and discuss and make sure that we keep AI companies accountable and transparent. Finally, an issue very relevant to our audience, right? To you guys: unethical use of AI in academia. Unfortunately, while AI offers many opportunities for students to learn and to grow, it also can be used as a crutch to complete all the assignments, essays, projects, which leads to academic integrity violations. Unfortunately, unethical AI use by students poses serious challenges for its implementation in higher education, and it requires fundamental changes in our educational systems, but also how you guys learn and prepare for professional careers after college. So in towards the end of this lecture, I'm going to elaborate on this issue and how we should engage the discussion about AI in academia, not through the lens of academic integrity violations or AI dependency, but we need to focus on how we can help students grow this AI literacy mindset. And then we're going to pose important questions and how we can move forward with the ethical use of AI rather than using AI just as a crutch to offload all the cognitive tasks on it. So, having learned all these limitations and ethical concerns briefly, how can we work with AI, right? So, here in the next couple slides, I will focus on four rules for co-intelligence that are proposed by Ethan Mollick. This was from your reading this week. And we can use this as an actionable framework for working with AI. So he outlines four principles for using AI as a co-intelligence. I think the word co-intelligence is important here because, as you see here, he doesn't describe AI as a crutch here. He's describing AI as a co-intelligence that we can benefit from. Only if we use it effectively and responsibly. And he outlined some guidelines for this effective and responsible AI use. So the first principle is always invite AI to the table. Second principle, be the human in the loop. Third principle, treat AI like a person, but tell it what kind of person it is. And the fourth principle, assume this is the worst AI you will ever use. So in the next couple slides, we're gonna elaborate on each one of these principles. The first principle, always invite AI to the table, pretty much summarizes the importance of experimenting with AI. So, only if you practice using AI, different AI tools, you can understand its capabilities and limitations. And Malik makes the argument that AI can assist us as a co intelligence companion to improve our own thinking and decision making processes only if we use it effectively and responsibly. So, what does it mean? It means that you don't want to mindlessly hand over all your decision making, all your thinking to AI, because then it will really be detrimental to our own critical thinking skills. And AI has limitations. To assume that AI uh, can be used to solve our problems, make decisions for us, think for us without the human oversight and insight is a really limited way of approaching AI. So that's why by using AI, different AI tools, for example, if you're using LLMs, chatbots, you should use different types of LLMs. You should try out ChatGPT, Cloud, Gemini. You should use them for different tasks. You should try out different prompting techniques on them and see what kind of outputs AI generates. So, the only way to gain experience in AI is by experimenting with it. But while experimenting with it, we need to keep in mind that AI is a co intelligence, it's a collaborator, it's not a crutch that we should completely rely on to generate any kind of output. So the second principle he outlines is be the human in the loop. So what does this notion refer to, being the human in the loop? So he describes this as the importance of incorporating human judgment and expertise in the operation of complex systems. So he calls this the automated loop, right? So these complex systems. So being the human in the loop in while working with AI is very important because we know that AI has limitations. AI is simply predicting the next word in a sequence, and cannot tell what's true and what's not. So these are two important limitations as of now, right? AI is getting better, so it's becoming more accurate, but still we know that AI hallucinates. So for if humans are in the process of evaluating AI outputs and not just simply making decisions based on these outputs, we can catch these hallucinations. Also, we know that AI can sound very human like, but it's not sentient. What does this mean? This means that AI is not really inherently aware of our behavior or its own behavior, even though it sounds very persuasive, very plausible, very human like. We need to always remember that there is a machine behind AI, and it does not truly understand human experience, human values, human expertise. And it's our job as humans to integrate these into the AI outputs. Malik also describes specific steps we can take to be the human in the loop, or what does it look like in real life, right? For example, to be the human in the loop, we should be able to check AI for hallucinations. We should know how to cross check or verify the sources of information. Generally, when you prompt AI or LLMs like ChatGPT or Cloud and ask a question or give it a task, it doesn't really provide a resource for you, right? Or it doesn't tell you where they found that source. So it's your responsibility to go ahead and like confirm whether this response is accurate or it's made up, is it fabricated or not. Because imagine that you're using information that AI creates for a community facing campaign, or maybe you are preparing educational training materials for some community members and you use AI generated output, the raw output, without checking its accuracy. Maybe it's not correct, and you are doing actually more harm than good by sharing this inaccurate information with the community members. So these are the kind of things you can do as a human. But to be able to do that, you should be able to provide crucial oversight, offering your own unique perspective and critical thinking skills. That's why we should build AI literacy, not AI dependency, so that we keep our critical thinking skills sharp, right? If you offload all the challenging cognitive tasks on AI, for example, if you ask AI to write an essay for you, you're never going to learn how to think while writing about an idea. So think about those things next time you prompt AI to do a task for you. And think about how I can use AI as a co intelligence, as a toolbox rather than a crutch, because in the long term, it's really going to affect my problem solving and critical thinking skills. Another tip here is be able to work with it without being taken in by it. What does this mean? This means that AI can sound very persuasive, very human like, which creates this kind of illusion of being an expert, right? Or a trustworthy resource. But it's not. So you need to be very careful when you are starting to see AI as a human, and even though you need to kind of pretend that it is to be able to more smoothly interact with it, you should always remember that there is no human behind that screen. And I think related to this is it's important to be aware of ethical considerations. We talked about bias amplification. We talked about misinformation, right? We talked about privacy issues. So these are all ethical considerations we should keep in mind as we use AI and as companies keep rolling out new AI tools. In addition to these steps, being the human in the loop fosters a sense of responsibility and accountability. How does it do that? It does it because you maintain control over the technology and you ensure that AI driven solutions align with human values. So, by not just relying on raw AI data, by incorporating your own, human insights to make a decision. For example, let's say that you are using AI to recruit people for a job, and you see that AI does some algorithmic calculations and rank orders the most suitable candidates. But if you do not evaluate these candidates yourself, in addition to AI's input, you may actually make some biased decisions. So that's why we should not let AI driven solutions to dominate our human values. We need to learn how to work with AI smoothly and organically and effectively without really handing all our control and autonomy over to AI. Also, as I mentioned before, when you use your critical thinking skills to evaluate AI output, you take responsibility for the truthfulness of the AI outputs and you're preventing harm. So we're already trying to fight with misinformation, and unfortunately, when AI is in the hands of the wrong people, it can also be used to disseminate more misinformation. So we need to be very careful how we use AI generated outputs when we prompt AI itself, and also when we consume AI generated outputs on the web. In his chapter entitled AI as a Coach, Mollick makes the argument that building expertise in the age of AI will be different from the way we built expertise in the past, because we now have access to information very quickly thanks to AI, right? We know that AI is good at finding facts, summarizing papers, writing, or coding tasks. However, when you graduate and you start a job where you need to deal with real life problems, and a lot of the times complex problems, you need subject matter expertise. So AI doesn't know how to think critically. It doesn't really know how to problem solve. It doesn't really understand abstract concepts. So it's your job as the expert in this loop to evaluate AI's output and work with AI to improve its contribution. So you need to synthesize your own subject matter experience expertise with the AI generated output. So what does it mean? You still need to build subject matter expertise. And how do you do that? You still need to read, you still need to write in your own academic field so that you can accumulate knowledge. If you're, for example, using AI to create a health campaign, you first of all, you need to know the components of a healthcare program, right? If you're using AI to create a crisis, communication plan, you still need to have expertise about, what crisis communication mean, what goes in a crisis communication plan. So without having this knowledge, you cannot really work with AI effectively. So, in the age of AI, everyone can be an expert, right? Like an average expert, everyone can have access to information. Everyone can prompt AI to summarize ideas, maybe put together a report. But expertise is going to matter more than before now, because experts will be able to get the most out of AI as co-workers. So if you're an average, worker without much subject matter experience, you're going to be replaced by someone who will bring in that subject matter experience, who will bring in critical and problem solving skills, and also work with AI. So that's why throughout the semester, I'll keep emphasizing the importance of AI literacy versus AI dependency. And I want you guys to think about whether you're being AI dependent or AI literate while using AI. So we've been talking about, what AI literacy may look like. It starts with the knowledge about these systems. It includes knowledge about prompting these systems, and also being able to bring in your own human experience and expertise to the critical evaluation of these systems. So if you build on your AI literacy, not only you will be successful in your classes, your projects, but you will also keep developing your critical thinking skills. You will enhance your problem solving abilities, and that will pay off once you start, a job that will require you to deal with complex problems. However, if you lean towards AI dependency in the long term, when it's too late, you will notice that your original thinking will decrease. You will have reduced ability to work without AI assistance, and it creates potential for academic dishonesty, right? And you will lose your critical analysis skills. And I think more importantly, you will stunt your own personal and professional growth. So throughout the semester, we're going to practice developing AI literacy, not AI dependency in this course. But it's my hope that you will take this inspiration and apply it in your other classes as well. And always ask this question to yourself: am I being AI dependent by using AI in this, format now? Or am I being AI literate? I think this is a very important question that can, guide you through your experience with AI. So the third principle Malik outlines is treating AI like a person, but telling it what kind of person it is. Um, he makes this argument because it's easier to work with AI as a collaborator or co-intelligence if we sort of pretend that it's a human-like, intelligence. However, as humans, we're prone to anthropomorphizing, non-human like objects or events. This is the act of ascribing human characteristics to something that is not human. So it's a double-edged sword in a way, and we actually will talk about, the pros and cons of engaging in this, anthropomorphizing over the course of the semester. And as Malik also argues that treating AI like a person can create unrealistic expectations, right? You may assume that they're always AI is telling you the truth, or AI wants the best for you, or the people you're working for. And it can unfortunately create false trust. And if we mindlessly trust AI, we are ignoring the fact that it's not a human. It doesn't understand the human experience completely. So we're losing our autonomy, and it can actually also create this fear among the public, policymakers, and researchers that AI is going to take over, right? So we need to keep that in mind. There are a lot of ethical considerations and limitations of anthropomorphizing AI. However, as Malik argues, working with AI is easiest if you think of it like an alien person rather than a human built machine. So, in the next couple slides, I'm going to share some effective prompting guidelines, and you will see why it may be important to assign AI a persona or engage in a conversation with AI differently than you will do with a computer program, right? I think that's another important approach with our AI interactions. We want to have a dialogue with AI. We don't just want to ask a question. We need to ask it to ask us another question. So we will like to be in this kind of productive dialogue, engage in this dialogue with AI, and it's only possible if we do not treat it like a human built machine. So on this slide, I'm sharing some prompting guidelines with you, but there is a video that I posted on Blackboard that actually elaborates on prompting basics. So please make sure you also watch that video in addition to listening to the guidelines I'll share here. So maybe so far when you interacted with AI, you will simply ask a question, right? Maybe you're trying to learn about the theory or write a paper. Um, More often than not, students will be give me some ideas for writing a paper on environmental communication, right? Or what is environmental communication? So this is not a very effective way of approaching AI use. We don't want to treat AI like we do a Google, or how we interact with Google search. So these are three important guidelines that will improve the outputs of AI. So the first one is AI persona. So if you feel like you don't have a very clear task, you don't have very specific details about the task, you can simply assign AI a persona, character, or role. So from the perspective of whom do you want AI to approach this issue? For example, if you want to create an outline for writing an environmental communication campaign plan, right? Do you want AI to approach this as a environment, activist? Do you want it to approach as a college student? Do you want it to act like an expert on this topic? So all these different prompts will kind of guide AI to dig into different parts of its training data, right? So you can expect the output to be more refined, to be more unique to that, character or persona. The second important tip is you want to be very specific, descriptive, and as detailed as possible about the context, task, length, format, style of the output. So, what does it mean? Let's continue with this environmental communication campaign, project. Let's say I'm working with AI to create this environmental communication campaign plan, but I need to provide more context to it, right? For example, who is my target audience? Do I want to implement this plan among college students, high schoolers, elementary school? So I need to specify this in my comments. So I can tell AI, create or give me five ideas about this environmental communication campaign plan. This plan will be implemented among college students. I can give more constraints, right? So this plan should have uh, should be easy and low cost. It shouldn't use a lot of resources. I can also specify the format. I can say, give me five ideas about implementing this plan in bullet points, or give me five maybe narratives about pitching this environmental communication campaign plan. So you need to specify, you need to give a lot of details about the context. You need to give very directive task rather than asking a question. Tell AI to, for example, list five ideas, generate 10 original um, activities, or you can say write an essay in the form of write an essay as if you are a comedian, right? So use sense of humor. So by specifying these different stylistic choices, different constraints, you can generate you know less subpar and more original, more sophisticated responses. And an important another tip we need to keep in mind is don't ever be satisfied with the first output of AI. Always ask for reiterations or variations or refinements for more original and improved output. Let's say in the previous prompt you ask AI to generate 10 original ideas. Now you can ask it, rank order these ideas based on its pros and cons, given physical space and budget restrictions, and then maybe it lists you know from top 1 to 10, and then you can ask it, pick top 3 and give me 3 different variations of these and see what it creates, right? So, and you can even tell it to make it better, you can tell it to slow down, pay attention. So these sort of prompts also will improve your output. So as you see here, there is a big difference between asking AI a question, or telling it to create you an, communication campaign plan, versus describing all the details or as many details as possible and asking for reiterations. And you can try this out yourself and see how the output will change from the first, iteration to the second one. So just to get a first hand experience again, to to implement the first principle, right? Invite AI to the table, experiment with AI. You can try out these prompts. You can try them out in any LLM you prefer to use, ChatGPT, Cloud, Gemini. The free versions are good enough, and try out these different prompts and create different kind of conversations or chat sessions for each one, so that AI doesn't learn from the previous inquiry. So for example, the first prompt doesn't really consider the guidelines, right? It just says, give me some ideas for cultivating a campus ecosystem that enhances mental resilience for our diverse student body. In the second prompt, as you see here, I assign a persona to AI. I ask it to act like an innovation expert, and I'm giving more details. I'm telling it your team is trying to find an innovative solution for the following question. And then I add, give me some ideas. And in this third prompt, not only I'm assigning a persona to AI, act like an innovation expert, but I'm also giving more specific contextual information. Also specifying the number of solutions I want. I'm specifying the format I want them in. I say generate 10 original solutions in bullet points for this problem. So you see here, I incorporate task, length, and format. And in addition to that, I want it to generate ideas in the style of idea design firm. So if you were to do this, you will see how the results will be different from a prompt that would not include this type of style. So you can try this too. And then prompt 4, again, the same content as prompt 3, but I added reiterations now. I ask AI rank order all 10 ideas considering their pros and cons and provide 3 variations of the top 2 ideas. And I guarantee you the ideas and the output that AI will generate at the end of prompt 4 will be much, much better than the output you will generate using prompt 2. Again, please try out these prompts, but do not try them out in the same session. Start a new session for each prompt, because that's also kind of like a capability of AI. It will remember your previous conversations so that you can see the drastic changes in the output and how the output improves based on each prompt. And the fourth principle Malik outlines is more like a heads up to us, right? So he says you should assume this is the worst AI you will ever use. He had written this book in 2023, and by the time it was published, and even after, you know, it was published, AI has changed so much since then. And he argues that LLMs will soon become integrated with email, web browsers, we're going to see more AI agents or semi-autonomous AIs that we can give a specific goal, and they will execute it with minimal human help. But many things that we took for granted as being exclusively human will be able to be done by AI. So as humans, we need to start considering what's our role in all of this, like living with AI and working with AI. How do we keep our unique human contributions intact, or human values? How do we keep them aligned with the uses of AI and development of AI? So I think I would like to leave you guys with this quote that Malik, highlighted. Remaining open to new developments will help you adapt to change and remain competitive in a fast-paced business landscape driven by exponential advances in AI. And I'm hoping that this course is your first step towards this goal. You have started experimenting with AI effectively and responsibly. You have started building AI literacy rather than AI dependency, and hopefully, you will fight against AI dependency. And this will allow you to remain adaptable to changes in the field of AI, and that you will be able to transfer this AI strategy that you will build throughout the semester to the other areas of your life.